To me, Graham Hancock is the most prominent figure in promoting the concept of a lost advanced civilization that existed until the end of the Pleistocene Age and perished in the catastrophes that struck the Earth at the boundaries of the Younger Dryas. Is this possible, and what sort of evidence is there for this? Most of the evidence we have thus far is in the form of megalithic stonework that spans the entire globe, because just about everything else would waste away over the millennia. But there is something else, and while far from being actual evidence, there are stories of the ancient past that hint at the possible existence of ages lost to time. So let's look at a few of these stories that refer to previous civilizations and some of the remarkable similarities connecting them. Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to What's Old is New Again. First, I want to state that what I am showing here in this first part is a rehash of something I saw in a presentation years ago. I forget who it was, so I can't give him proper credit. It may have been Robert Bauval or John Anthony West, but it was an excellent point and demonstration, so I want to redo it here. The concept itself has also been spoken of more than once. Modern civilization is currently believed to have started in ancient Sumer about 6,000 years ago. Yes, there is Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, which are older, but Sumer is where it really took off. And what I mean by civilization, or what you see here on the y-axis, is the degree to which we have developed from the perspective of agriculture, science, technology, language, law and order, anything you can think of that we as a species have done to show developmental progress. We went thousands of years without much progress, but compare where we are today to where we were just a mere 200 years ago. But anatomically, modern humans are approximately 300,000 years old, give or take. That means if we were able to go back in time 280,000 years, take an infant and bring it back to the present day and raise it as one of us, the child could potentially grow to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, etc., and no one would know any different. So what does that mean? We spent the last 290,000 years or so whittling sticks and banging rocks together, and then suddenly we got smart? It doesn't make sense. What if it happened before? We got really smart, and then something catastrophic happened, like a global pandemic, or we nuked ourselves out of existence, to have essentially every trace of our former greatness washed away. What if it happened a few times? Multiple instances of advance only to have an asteroid impact, a coronal mass ejection, fire or flood wipe us out and hit the great reset button on us. Like Sisyphus and his boulder, every time we get to the top of the hill, we have to start all over again at square one. Curious to see how quickly our civilization can fade away? Check out Life After People on the History Channel's streaming service. You'll be amazed at how soon everything we've built as a society will be reclaimed by nature. Everything we have built will waste away to nothing, except primarily stone. So if there's hardly any physical evidence, what gleanings of past civilizations can we pick up in the stories around the world? Our story starts around 600 BC in Egypt, where the philosopher Solon had journeyed to listen to and learn from the Egyptian priests. As they said to him, according to Plato's dialogue Timaeus, "There is no old opinion handed down among you by ancient tradition, nor any science that is hoary with age. And I will tell you the reason of this. There have been, and there will be again, many destructions of mankind, arising out of many causes. There is a story which even you have preserved, that once upon a time Phaethon, the son of Helios, having yoked the steeds in his father's chariots, because he was not able to drive them in the path of his father, burned up all that was upon the earth, and was himself destroyed by a thunderbolt. Now this has the form of myth,
but really signifies a declination of the bodies moving around the earth and in the heavens, and a great conflagration of things upon the earth, recurring at long intervals of time. The priest goes on to say, "You remember one deluge only, whereas there were many of them. And in the next place, you do not know that there dwelt in your land the fairest and noblest race of men which ever lived, of whom you and your whole city are but a seed or remnant. And this was unknown to you, because for many generations the survivors of that destruction died and made no sign." The story of Phaethon is one of the Greek myths that involve destruction. The destruction by deluge the priest refers to is recounted in the story of Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha, where Zeus decided to destroy everyone by unleashing a deluge. Sound familiar? What other ages were there according to the Greeks? And what of this golden age the Egyptian priest alluded to? For that we turn back the clock 100 years before Solon to the poet Hesiod, who speaks of 5 ages in his poem Works and Days. First is the Golden Age, created by Kronos and the Titans. People of the Golden Age had it best. Peace and harmony prevailed during this age. The earth provided food in abundance, and humans did not have to work. They lived to a very old age with a youthful appearance, and died as though they were overcome with sleep when their time had come. This age came to an end when Zeus defeated Kronos. For the Silver Age, Zeus and his cohorts, now in charge on Olympus, create a new batch of people when they should have left well enough alone. People in the Silver Age lived for 100 years and were less noble by far. They lived mostly as childish simpletons, but as grown adults they could not keep from sinning and from wrongdoing one another. Zeus, the son of Kronos, was angry and put them away, because they would not give honor to the blessed gods who lived on Olympus. Remember this tidbit for when we discuss the Popol Vuh in a little while. Zeus alone creates the people of the Bronze Age, and things continue to go downhill. Sprung from ash trees, men of the Bronze Age were hardened and tough. They loved the lamentable works of Ares, and deeds of violence were their passion. Their armor was forged of bronze, as were their homes and tools. The men of this age were undone by their own violent ways. This was the age destroyed by the flood, as told in the story of Deucalion. This was succeeded by the Heroic Age, the one age that does not correspond with a medal. These people were created when Deucalion and Pyrrha threw rocks over their shoulders that became people when they landed. It is also the only age that improves upon its preceding age, maybe because Zeus wasn't directly involved this time. These people were nobler and more righteous than their counterparts in the Bronze Age. But what's the best way to show how heroic and noble you are? By fighting, of course, like the Trojan War. Finally, we come to our present age, the Iron Age, and worst of all, where Zeus gets involved once again in the creation of humanity thing. Now, most people learn from their mistakes, but apparently not Olympic gods. During this age, humans never rest from labor and sorrow by day or from perishing by night. Children dishonor their parents, brother fights with brother, the social contract between guest and host is forgotten, might makes right, and bad men use lies to be thought good. At the height of this age, humans no longer feel shame or indignation at wrongdoing. Sound too familiar? Zeus will end this age when babies will be born with gray hair and the gods will have completely forsaken humanity. Maybe Zeus will stay out of the way of creation for the 6th age and let some other god have a go at it. Hesiod's ages remind me of the biblical story of Daniel chapter 2, where the prophet Daniel interprets the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar. In his dream, Nebuchadnezzar sees a statue that is made of 4 metals. a head of gold, a chest of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, and iron legs with feet of iron and clay. Now, in the story, the construction materials of the statue refer to the respective kingdoms of Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, but it sounds notably similar. While this doesn't really speak to global destruction, there are parts of the Bible that do. Hesiod's golden age can be thought of as living in Eden. Expulsion from Eden is the first catastrophic destruction. The next would be Noah's flood, giving 3 ages, but there are some that would say the creation myth is not a creation at all, but yet another transition. Just throwing that out there. Next, we have the Hindu ages, or yugas, of which there are 4. They describe the cyclical nature of time. The cycle begins with the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age. I think we're seeing a pattern here. This is the age of perfection, lasting 1,728,000 years. During this time, virtue, dharma, is said to stand on all 4 legs, and people are highly spiritual, naturally righteous, and possess immense longevity and mental power. Subsequent ages represent a gradual spiritual and moral decline. Maintaining the parallel with Hesiod, the next age is the Treta Yuga, or Silver Age, lasting 1,296,000 years. This sees Dharma reduced to 3/4 as the concept of desire and the performance of rituals begins to emerge. Perhaps predictably, this is followed by the Dvapara Yuga, or Bronze Age, lasting 864,000 years, where virtue and vice are equally balanced, and human consciousness is more focused on material pursuits, which notably is the setting for the age of the epic Mahabharata. The final age is the Kali Yuga, or Iron Age, the age of strife, discord, and darkness, which is, of course, the age of our world currently. It lasts 432,000 years. The Kali Yuga is characterized by dramatic decline in morality, with Dharma said to stand on only 1 leg. In this age, the human lifespan is at its shortest, around 100 years. People are predominantly materialistic and selfish, and society is afflicted by greed, dishonesty, and widespread conflict. According to scripture, the Kali Yuga began in the year 3102 BCE. That, of course, means we have a long way to go before the end, although there are different interpretations saying it will end sooner. The cycle will conclude with a period of cosmic dissolution, and then the universe will be recreated, starting the cycle anew with the next Satya Yuga. Finally, we have the Popol Vuh. If you're not familiar with it, it's a holy book of stories of the ancient Maya people, and it contains stories of various creations. The gods' first attempt at creating a human race fashioned people out of earth and mud, but these people were weak, quickly crumbled or dissolved, could not move properly, and spoke senselessly. So the gods scrapped them in order to have another go at it. The second attempt created people from wood. This worked out better. They could speak and multiplied, becoming the first numerous people on the face of the earth, but they lacked hearts, minds, and memory of their creators. Most importantly, they failed to worship the gods, their creators. This was deemed not good, so they were relegated to the status of another experiment and destroyed by a great flood. Oh, another flood myth. Finally, the gods succeeded molding the first true people from yellow and white maize dough mixed with water and fat, creating beings with the ability to speak, think, and most importantly, properly give praise to their makers. But many of you are probably thinking how the world didn't end in the year 2012, the year the Mayan calendar ends. In the Mayan calendar, the day is called a kin. Then there are 20-day months, or winnows, a ton, which is like a year, and larger groups of years called Ketans and Bahaktans. The Mayan long count or Great Cycle ends after a period of 13 Bactons, or about 5,125 years. The most recent coming to a close on that fateful day in December in the year 2012. Based upon personal experience, however, I don't think this heralds the end of an age or provides any kind of proof of ages past.
So where do we go from here? There is absolutely plenty of room in the timeline for one or more civilizations to have existed in our ancient past. There are hints of them in the literature of various cultures, but as far as tangible proof goes, it is limited to megalithic stone blocks, astoundingly precise faces, and a few other mysterious artifacts. I feel more proof, if it exists, would lie underneath the oceans on the continental shelves. But underwater archaeology is expensive, and few would be willing to pony up the funds necessary without greater evidence of where you're looking first. But as times change and technology advances, we will likely find what we're looking for, unless there's just nothing to find. Just look at how LiDAR has burst onto the stage and the amazing things being discovered by it. I'm sure underwater LiDAR will soon pave the way to new discoveries. But one thing I'm absolutely sure of is there are countless amazing things just waiting to be discovered. Thank you for watching.